Freedom is not free. It is a gift that has been given to you by men and women that have sacrificed their lives, and every single person that lives, works, and plays in this country. It is a gift that has been paid for in blood on battlefields here at home, and in so many nations around the globe. It all started with the War of Revolution, a war to fight taxation without representation, a simple idea that people can and will govern themselves. A free country without rule of any one king or dictator. And the cost for this idea was extremely high. There's something I want you to think about when you see our flag today flying over boats or car dealerships or at a bank. It's just a simple little story about the War of 1812. Over trade disputes, only 30 years after our Declaration of Independence, the British invaded our nation's capital. Still battled and bruised from the previous war, many old-timers still had battle memories in their thoughts. They ransacked the Library of Congress and even set fire to our White House. When they finished with Washington Harbor, they set their sights on Baltimore, specifically Fort McHenry. During the fighting, prisoners were captured on both sides, and commanding a fleet of battleships, 12 prisoners were locked up in the belly of one of those ships. And a young lawyer named Frank from Baltimore was chosen to go and negotiate the exchange of prisoners. He was brought to that British ship, and he was successful in negotiating the exchange. But the British admiral on board told Frank, did a good job, but it is all for nothing. He had his entire fleet of cannons, rockets, and guns zeroed in on that flag that stood above Fort McHenry. And he said, I've told the Americans, you either voluntarily drop that flag as a sign of surrender, or we will drop it for you. So Frank watched as the British Navy shelled the ramparts. He watched and saw during the sunset's very last light that flag stood tall. And back then there were no street lights, electricity, or illumination that would indicate that flag still stood. He only knew from the brief flashes of bombs, shells, and rockets that it still remained until morning. Now, Frank, a lawyer, a very well-educated man, wrote a small passage or a poem about that night, and it's simply titled The Defense of Fort McHenry. And Frank's real name was Francis Scott Key, and his words go like this. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through a perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. So when you see that flag or hear those words, please take a minute to just remember all who gave their lives for this simple idea. It's not a statement of pride. It's not a declaration of power or dominance. It's a simple question. Can you still see it? Is it still standing? Sometimes I feel like this is lost on us today. I see so much bickering and fighting amongst friends and family, or even worse, politics in Washington. It makes me sick to my stomach because it seems we have forgotten how to simply respect one another for their opinions, and this thing that started as just a simple idea. I'll tell you another story why Memorial Day hit so hard for me. I did 6 trips to the desert after 9/11. I've been in some great spots, some incredible places, and some not so good situations. But let me tell you about the worst time period of my life that I have ever been placed in. It wasn't deployed to some shithole. And it wasn't sucking for air in 115-degree temperatures in the middle of Iraq at 11 o'clock in the morning. No, it was between all those deployments here in the States. On Red Cycle, in between deployments, I was assigned a casualty assistance officer. When I hear people complain about anything, traffic, jobs, politics, I wish I could take them back to that point in time in my life. I want them to stand there with me on that doorstep, knock on the door or ring the bell, and watch a young mother holding a 1-year-old drop to her knees because she knows exactly why I'm there without saying a word. I wish I could bring those people to that kitchen table and please help me explain to those loved ones that they have to sign paperwork, stupid paperwork, because their loved one did not come home in one piece. That parts of him or her are still over there. I want them to experience the pain of watching that young mother somehow keep her composure to try and quiet her child for sleep. Sometimes I wish I could make everybody I meet experience that firsthand for themselves. It was by far the toughest duty the U.S. Army asked me to do. So look at that flag today and be thankful that you are able to do exactly what you are doing at this moment. Enjoy it. Because it was not given to you for free. It comes at a very high cost. So not only today, but every day, I promise you I will never forget. I will always remember those who gave everything so we can live in freedom the way we do.